Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. As you learn game, you give game. You got it? As you learn about the game, the game of life, you give game. You give that same thing to people. It's your duty, your responsibility, it's your job to give that to someone else. You understand? Again, each one, teach one. It's an old African proverb. That's the way it goes. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, granted, some things can't be taught. Some things are just meant to be learned. You know what I mean? Through experience, through trial and error, and that's fine. A game is to be sold, not to be told. That's the way that goes. But as you learn the game, all the rules about how it goes, you give game to someone else. You tell people how it goes. Now, you're not telling them specifically the steps to do this because it's always going to be different for everybody. That's why the game is to be sold, not to be told. But as you learn it, though, it's your job, it's your duty, your responsibility as someone older to give it to someone else so that they can do the same, so that they can learn the same, so they can experience the same, hopefully, if they learn it the right way. But as you learn the game, you give game. And that's part of your job, being here. You have to help someone else, younger than you, smaller than you, more inexperienced than you. That's the way the game goes. As you learn the game, you give game. When I was young, I wanted to, really know what was really going on with being an adult. You know what I mean? It's like, you're a kid and you see everything. You see, your elders, your parents, your grandparents, your big brothers and sisters, your big cousins, and they always going to do something. You never know because you're a kid, you ain't doing nothing but going to school, and, you go home and you just there, then, you're doing all of that, and then you go to sleep and get up next morning and do the same thing. Don't have much of a responsibility to do things, you know what I mean? No real experience to do anything unless your childhood was completely different. But for the most part, you're not doing much. But I know me, I always wondered, what are they doing? How come their life is like this? How come it looks like they're having all the fun? You know what I'm saying? And that's because everybody was just taking a self-journey, a journey into mastering the self. And as you learn it, which takes time. That's why it's a journey. It takes time. As you learn it, though, you got to give it. Because through that journey, you're going to go through, potholes, you know what I'm saying? And stairs that got, boards torn up and tacks in it and going to places where ain't been no light. You know what I mean? Shout out to Langston Hughes. There's just places that you go in this journey that are not always going to be easy. It ain't always going to be smooth, you know what I mean, on the surface. It's going to be rough and rugged and a bunch of turns and all that. And the only way you really get through it is through experience, through trial and error. But as you learn the game of how this life goes in every facet, make sure you give game to someone else because that's a part of your job. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job. Especially if you're a parent, that's a part of your job. You got to give it to your kids. As you learn the game, you got to teach them about the game. Because this thing we call life is a game, and you got to know how to play it. So you have to learn the game. But as you learn it, make sure you give it out. But make sure you're doing it in a way where it's not you directly telling, you know what I mean? You're allowing people to still experience things. Because if you tell too much, it's almost like you're doing it for them, and you don't want to do that. That's why the game is to be sold, not to be told. You understand? For those that ever wondered what that was about. So as you learn the game, make sure you do your job. Do your part. Give the game to someone else so that they can get older and do the same thing as it was once done to you. Got it? Once again, Motivation Monday. Do what the hat says.